Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Monday, March 14th, 2022 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I take time to center my flow on myself and my highest values. And oh my goodness, let's look at this week ahead. So one thing this week, we are building to a full moon, and this full moon once again is going to be in connection with Pluto. We've had several Plutonic full moons. While this is a lovely connection to Pluto, a supportive connection to Pluto, Pluto can always bring this stuff to the surface. So that's going to be Friday at Friday first thing. Friday, it's like 12:17 a.m. But we're going to be feeling this building. Along with this building, this week has some interesting stuff. We're going to have some really strong electrical and mental vibes going on. So do be aware of that with the moon in Virgo through several of the days and some strong connections, some strong Uranus energy going on with that as well. And then we have a building Venus-Uranus as well as a Mars-Uranus, but we hit Venus-Uranus this week. Venus-Uranus square. And that can be very triggering around relationships. That can be very triggering around our worth. That can be very triggering around financials, money. So that all could kind of surface with that full moon energy. Keep that in mind, and mind actually being the key, because this full moon being in Virgo that we're building into will be strongly activating our mind. And so watch what your mind is taking in this week. Watch what your mind is processing, because you may find some regurgitation of that. Definitely have some really interesting energies going on. This is also the final week of Sun in Pisces, so we really want to enact our Pisces energy. Speaking of, I've got some beautiful cat backup behind me. Cat support for all of us in and through these energies. We have the sun moving into Aries on the 20th, Sunday the 20th at 8 a.m. And a beautiful connection that evening of Mercury and Jupiter. So even though there's some challenge this week, especially that Mercury-Jupiter point is like, oh, do I have that? I think I don't. I was like, do I have that card? No. But like I have the tiger. Keep your mind on the good. Even if there's some other stuff that we're processing this week. All right, so let's dig into Monday's astro energy. We have the moon in Leo, sun in Pisces. The moon in Leo is making oppositions and squares today. So it's a bit of a T-square energy. Moon in Leo reminds us to connect with our heart. But we may feel some opposition. We may feel some pull against that. We may feel some challenge. We may feel some triggers that make it feel hard to stay heart-centered. I will say this about the sun in Pisces, moon in Leo. Anytime we have the Pisces-Leo connection, there can be very strong dramatics coming on. And today, speaking of strong dramatics, today we actually have the sun connecting to the nodes. So there's a sextile with the north node and a trine with the south node. Especially when we have south node energy feeding in, there may be, it's south node, but also sun in Pisces. Sun, Neptune, all the things in Pisces. We may have some really deep energies being processed at this time. Now, what I have to say for this is I feel like the world in general is processing a lot of karmic energy right now, and this is a call to stay in your lane. This is a call to recognize that you don't necessarily have to play a part in like the world's karma. Look at what's showing up for you and address that, because that might be your individual puzzle piece of this karma. I think sometimes we try to attack these issues on such a large scale and it gets lost in translation. It gets lost in the glaciers of all of the issues that they're out there. But we all play, I believe personally in past lives, I believe we all take responsibility in what is happening in the world. But again, we don't have to keep our focus so big. And this is coming from a Sagittarius. Sometimes we do have to bring our focus back to ourselves. Hence the energy mantra for today. Bring it back to your center. Find balance from here. And I swear it makes a difference. And we have to keep that in mind. Make a difference where you can make a difference. The kitty agrees. Speaking of all this karmic energy, I'll get back to the moon and the T-square in a minute, but we have Pallas and Chiron about to meet in Aries, and Pallas does represent those patriarchal issues, and Chiron represents healing. And this is one of the biggest and best things we can do, is recognize where we have taken in patriarchal doctrine, patriarchal energies that do not align with our highest truth, our highest values. That's part of this astro energy today, as the sun and the north node connect. Where can you align with your values? I find over and over and over, and in my life, there's been so many places where I've been told a thing that never agreed with my soul. And a lot of it was those patriarchal shoulds rather than anything heart-centered. So using that moon in Leo can definitely help with this. Keep this in mind through this day, through today, through tomorrow, as we're working through the energies, and just recognize a lot of these old patterns are coming up to be played out, and again, in and through ourselves as well. So awareness is key. All right, so let's talk about these energies. Moon opposite Mars, moon opposite Venus, moon square Uranus. The nice thing is these are happening in, I can't say the earlier part of the day, but I don't know. I'm just making that up. The nice thing is the moon and Mars will be happening soon and being finished, because moon and Mars especially can get kind of dramatic. Not the sun, but the moon in Leo opposite Mars and Venus Aquarius. There's this work to find balance between the mental vibes and the heart vibes. There's work to find balance between scientific processing and more emotional processing, and recognize there is a place for both of them. So do keep that in mind. To me, this feels like checks and balances in and of ourselves, with the Venus-Mars hanging out in Aquarius opposite moon in Leo. Our inner child can run wild, can be running amok and take over everything and be coming from a very wounded, damaged place. But just the same, the mind can do the same thing and be running amok and coming from a very wounded, damaging place. So checking in, I always like to check in, go take a step further, body, mind, spirit, soul, heart, with your whole committee. Your holy committee can help support you in not running amok. Hooray. Moon in Leo squaring that Uranus energy. Uranus has shifted to 12 degrees, so we're no longer at that master level degree. But this is 12 degrees is expansion. So these triggers may feel a little bit bigger, and they maybe feel bigger because it is your ego being triggered. So again, check in with your heart. If you are feeling triggered, check your ego. And what is your ego trying to protect you from? And what is that wound that goes even deeper? And where does that wound connect to your inner child? And I would even take it a step farther. How does this connect to these karmic layers, these patriarchal layers that are coming through and being processed out? So that's today's astro energies that we're working through. Did I miss anything that I wanted to bring up? I don't think so. We're definitely in this change portal, but there's still much work to be done. Our work, rise within yourself, know your value, know your worth, and honor your values. I'm going to say that at the end too, but honor your values. That's part of this flowering energy, is aligning your physical actions with what you value. And it's sometimes shocking to me how easy it is to dismiss those things. So do keep that in mind. The consciousness, Ace of Swords card, consciousness, mindfulness in and through these energies. I feel like there's going to be so many like, oh, oh, I see, moments through the day. So keep that in mind, where we can release this old patriarchal stuff. Just like the change card in reverse, I have the Fool card in reverse, and this feels like the same. There is this process of creating a new path, creating a new way of being, but we're just not there yet. It is cyclical, these patterns, as we unwind them, as we move through. So that's it for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. Besides that, the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and honor your values. Namaste.